Is officially one of the best characters in Dr. Stone. Shonen Ouji, here to dig deeper into your favorite anime and manga. In this video, I'll be continuing my review of the Dr. Stone anime. So without further ado, let's start this review of episode 12. This scene between Senku and Chrome was probably my favorite in the entire season. Now, I know that's a pretty bold statement, seeing as how we're only halfway through the season. But even though we're only just getting out of a lull and we're only just picking up, this scene between Senku and Chrome, I really loved it because Chrome has been playing this role of almost like Senku's sidekick, but we see here Chrome standing his ground as somebody who's just not a side character, somebody who's not just going to stand on the sideline and watch everybody else do something. He is making very clear in this scene that he's not just there to support everyone. He has a interest in this, and if he has to die, then that's what's going to happen. So I really like the scene specifically because we see some really important development in Chrome, because at least to me, while I thought he was a cool character, there wasn't anything about his personality that really made me admire him more so than Senku comparably. But this scene changed that a lot for me. On the flip side, we see another humanizing moment for Senku. Now, I said in previous videos that Senku acts selfishly. And when I say selfish, I mean that in the existential type of selfish. He doesn't do something because he thinks it's the right thing to do. Necessarily, he does it because he wants to. It's just something that he aspires to do. But we see with this scene where he says to Chrome, I got to teach you everything I know about science, because if I die and you die, that's it for science. Which definitely made me rethink how I see Senku, because, again, I thought Senku was just doing his own thing. He was kind of doing it just to do it. But no, he's clearly doing it for the sake of humanity, because he wouldn't go to that length to make sure Chrome knows everything if he didn't care so much about humanity. So while I still don't think Senku is some sort of moralist or someone who holds on to black and white senses of morality in the world, I do think that there's a significant part of his reasoning for this that is to save humanity. I also really like this scene because we got two comparisons out of it. The first one that I want to talk about is Chrome and then Yuzuriha and Taiju, or specifically just Taiju. What we see with this is Chrome brings them in to say, again, hey, I'm not just some jerk here to just help you out. I have a stake in this, so I'm not going to go along with this if we're just going to pretend you're probably going to die. Pretend I'm your friend, Taiju, and Yuzuriha. Let's figure out a way to do this where we help each other. Which rings back to what happened with the lions in Tsukasa, when Taiju was ready to just throw his life on the line, and we see Senku stop, not let this happen for a second, and he tells Taiju, I can't do this without you. If I die or you die, that's it. And we see a spin on this where now I'm messing up that phrase. The shoe's in the other foot. The shoe is on the other foot with Senku, and now he's hey, I'm going to put my life on the line for the sake of this mission. And now Chrome is not letting this happen. He's putting a stop to it. And we see this moment where Chrome asserts himself and he says, we're either doing this together or we're not doing it at all. And Senku's response was so good. It was just, it's not that it was like clever, it was just very wholesome. It was, you can trust your life in my hands, which I thought was a perfect way to now see their relationship. I got your back, you got mine. Nobody, while Senku is clearly tutoring Chrome, no one is the sidekick. They're both in this equally together. And that's why I absolutely loved this scene. And the other comparison was with Chrome and Kohaku. Now, we see the scene with Kohaku where they try and pass on this family mission of the priestess, which I'll get to later. But it's almost identical to what happens with Chrome. She gets this mission passed on to her. They're like, Ruri's probably going to die, so let's just get you ready. And she's like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing this and pretending like my sister's just going to die and it's going to be okay. No, absolutely not. But what I really liked about the flashback with Kohaku was we basically get her origin story, which was she's going to make her father hate her. She's going to train with the hot water. She is going to do everything it takes, no matter the cost, to save her sister. And this is her defining moment. And I really like the bit about her father hating her and her becoming this tomboy, as Chrome calls her, gorilla, because we saw in the earlier episodes that she has tender memories of her father. She doesn't hate her father. It's just she knows she's either going to become a priestess and let Ruri die, or she's going to choose the path that she's on, which her father is never going to accept. And she doesn't want to let Ruri die, so her only other choice is to do what's going to make her father hate her. So you can't help but respect Kohaku because she threw away all her comfort for the sake of her sister. And again, I really like it because it gives us a proper look into her character and it makes her personality a lot more dynamic. But we have this comparison with Kohaku and Chrome where they both did the same thing. They're like, I'm not doing this if you're going to die. We're in this together. And we had that moment where they were joking about getting married. But I think what I liked about the connection between Kohaku and Chrome here is that they kind of both did the same thing. I just talked about Kohaku, but if you look at Chrome, we don't know too much about what his life was like before, but we know that everything he's done is for Ruri. And he was known as the quote-unquote sorcerer. So, like Kohaku, who adopted this role of the gorilla, the tomboy, the girl can kick everybody's butt, Chrome adopted this role of the sorcerer to do whatever it takes to save Ruri. So we're seeing this repeating theme of everyone in the main cast as outsiders. It's not that they don't necessarily fit in, but they've made a conscious decision to be different than everybody else. And I think that's why the cast, even if you don't love them at first, they eventually grow on you, and you really, especially with me, I've been noticing I keep tuning in to see what happens with these characters because I genuinely care what happens with these characters, and I ultimately want to see them succeed. And just to close up the video, two things I liked that weren't as big as the other stuff. I really liked everything with Ginro in this episode. The two brothers were a bit flat when we met them, but we're seeing that they're being humanized and their personalities are becoming a bit more sophisticated. And we saw with Ginro that his fear is something that really, really overwhelms him, but we see him overcome it. So I think this was a good moment for Ginro, and it made him a much more likable character. Not that I didn't like him before, but now I really like him, really care about him, and I feel like he's a real part of the cast now. The other thing I liked was we got this personification of the pool or the lake, whatever you want to call it, and it reminded me of the flashback with Senku when he was with the monkeys, and we got the whole thing with them talking, and now with this, we see the lake personified as like this lady of the lake, almost like a siren, where it's representing the threat to their lives. So it really helps illustrate the scene as like a battle, as opposed to like them just like showing up and then like maybe dying. Like it really does help amp up the stakes, and it really does make watching them go get this sulfuric acid a lot more entertaining. And that is going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed what I had to say, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to check out my other reviews, or if you want to see my other videos. Reach out to me on Twitter so I can hear your thoughts. All of this really helps me, so make sure to do that. Thank you for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.